of tea. Right, I'm going to start this podcast off. I don't know. I'm just going to go. Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got the amazing Elle Jones. And I'm about to say what you do. And then I want to say somatic trauma therapy coach.
Let's remove the therapy.
Right, okay, go on.
Therapist. So
what?
Somatic trauma informed recovery coach.
What the fuck is that?
It's a really good fucking question.
Go on.
So, coaching, but we get into the body.
Right.
We look at what is trauma.
Yeah.
Might be a car crash, might be bullying, might be workplace discourse, domestic abuse, you name it. The trauma is the event that leaves something that lives within here, and that's the feeling, and that's what we work with. It's the embodiment of your recovery, not just I need to go and talk to somebody, because talking just reaffirms it. When we bring you in and we ground and we find the feeling, colour, name, shape, voice. Mine come to me in voices.
What do you mean?
I can hear
That's only because you're a witch.
I can hear distant relatives talking and saying, oh, you always did this, you should have done. So mine come to me in voices, and also if it's me, they come to me, I find now, at different stages, different ages, I can hear little teeny tiny me, my inner child that says the fight back, the no, I wasn't enough, no, I shouldn't have done, or I did because I thought I had a genuine reason at the time. So the somatic goes above and beyond, because you have to bring people in to themselves, because if not, doing therapy from here up does not work. If we answer from here, not from here.
Yeah, that's where the shit's at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me talk about before you got into being a somatic and trauma informed coach.
Oh, yes.
Why did you decide to do that? What shit went down?
How long have we got for today?
As long as you want.
Kidding. I have a therapist, even now at the moment, somebody that I can confide in, somebody that I can work with.
So even though you say about talking and the therapy side of it, you still think that is a part of the thing as well as?
Because it's the grounding. So I discuss what comes up for me when I speak to people, what comes up for me when I meet people, why I still react in certain ways, because healing isn't linear. I remember seeing a guy a while ago doing his little Instagram post with a board, and he's like, we think that healing's here, we start and there's the end line, and what happens is we go up, and then he did this big squiggle and it went back, and it was just this complete mess of a board. And if you ever have a visual representation of healing, it's that, because we have so many parts of ourselves that speak to us from experiences. So for me, I was adopted. Biggest blessing of my life. Found out a bit of history. It was very sketchy. I was born in 1980. Yes, I know I look young for my age, but
yeah.
Joking aside, the information that people, when they go through that now, they get a history, they get a letter from mom, possibly dad, whatever else, they have a little bit of background to give them, I suppose, a piece of history of where they originated, but not where they started. I didn't have that, so my curiosity got the better of me. I went to look for that. Really wished I hadn't, because it was a cluster. It just didn't...
What happened?
Well, it just didn't resonate with anything. It was this...
Did you find him?
No. And that's the one thing I will never regret, because she was 15 when she had me. So I think from that point, if she has made or been made to make this decision and she's managed to create a life, I have absolutely no idea what happens to her, at different points. Not even so much as around my birthday, but at different points I think, I hope you've had the support to move forward because it seems like she had a traumatic experience, herself. So I got these amazing people that said, we're going to take you. And it's so funny because my brother said, when we went to get you, there was cots in a room because I was in foster care. He said, there's like babies, they were just doing their thing, crying, screaming, doing whatever else. He went, you were the only silent one. He said, we brought you home, we didn't shut up for years. You think, that is love.
That is brilliant, though.
That is love.
Yeah, well.
And I still don't sleep to this day. I am quite happy to say that those things, but we'll come to it in a while, that served me really well, the fact that I can just take that level without, and carry on. But I think with that, my earliest memories are remembering my mother saying to me, you were special because you were chosen. Wow. So you're like, whoa, cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is special. And I felt very special. I had an amazing family, big Catholics, gazillions of us. And on that side of the family, it was all boys. So if they were up the trees, I want one higher. If they did something, I wanted one, even bigger. And growing up, they gave me quite literally every opportunity: guitar lessons, piano lessons, gymnastics, you name it. They threw me into everything and clearly had the see what sticks, give them. We went abroad, and sorry, Dad, I'm going to say it. I can still remember my dad going to one of those things in early Spain in the 80s, dressed up as a lady, and he looks amazing by all the photos that I can account and see. So they were fun. They were fun. And getting to know them over the years, and what you would say are struggles for them. My mother is the penultimate stoic. She's like, life just gave us this, so we did that. And the outcome is where we are today. It just sort of rolled on. So she was the person who wore the trousers. Again, sorry, Dad. But you don't. You still don't now. She wore the trousers and gave us the opinion of, if you have a voice, use it. But when I question you, don't. It was, you respect the generation, like with my children when they speak about my brother and they say, oh, Chris, oh, uncle. The salutations that come with, we still try and have that. That was the type of family I was brought up in, and my goodness, did I respect that so much, because I had so many fun relatives. One of them who got my ears pierced behind my parents' back. She was great. You're wild. Don't let them tame you. Now we know ADHD.
Yeah.
Touch of autism when I do the flaps and so on. But at that point, it was just the acceptance that I was brought into a family that nurtured and loved and accepted and gave me, the experiences over the years. And I think for the most part, things worked from my memory well until the teen stage. And this is actually where I'm actually at with my own therapist at the moment, when I'm talking about people that I've seen and who I talk to about their pivotal moments. They may come with something in their 30s and then jump back. Mm. And it's, well, how do we bring that little 14-year-old version of you to safety? Just let them have their voice, let them have their time. What does it look like for you? What does it feel like? Because that's still the person that's been talking to you for 10, 20, 30 years, dependent, on where you are in your journey. And I gave my parents hell, in my mind. And when I discuss it with my mother, she says, you weren't that bad, you were just a normal teen.
What happened? What were you doing?
Oh, I liked the little white lightning, with my friends in the park. And I think pushing the boundaries in their values to which it was their ethos. It wasn't, don't do that and the neighbours will talk, but it was, we're here, why are you not? And I wasn't, because I thought I had the privilege to say, hey, you're not my mum, you're not my dad. My God, even saying that now brings a huge feeling of restriction up of how can you say that to people that took you through nappies, put a roof over your head and have supported you for every single up and down, and I have had significant downs as well as the ups.
So you're saying back then you had a lot of resentment towards your mum and dad?
I think it was more resentment to myself, but targeted at them.
Right. Why resentment to you? Why resentment to yourself?
Didn't fit in. Didn't fit in anywhere. I had, some friends, surface level.
Yeah.
Still very much like that today. That the disconnection, the dissonance between what is real and what I want, and what I see other people having, didn't and doesn't land the way I suppose when I have questioned and spoken to other people who've not even, had traumas or whatever else, but somebody in a happy marriage. It's like, oh my God, he drives me crazy. And he'll say, well, she drives me crazy, but. And the but is always positive, which is what they get out of their marriage. So for me, I was kind of like, well, yeah, you may be supporting me. You may be giving me everything I need, but mine went down. And I think that's the embodiment that I had for so many years in terms of things didn't go well, it was their fault. If I wasn't allowed to, because they're a bit older than what normal parents would be, for my age. So when I was at school and their parents were sort of mid-30s, mine were already well in the 40s. And I saw that as a huge detriment, because my friends that could go out and stay out till 10 o'clock at night.
Well, it's just been a teenager, that, is it not? Can you not see it as that? Or does
now I do, but at the time I was literally the only one, and they used to tease me, like they would be looking, going, I would go down to my friend Rachel, and she lived about, I think we've actually done this in the car with the boys, and she was, I think it's 1.4 miles away. Now my parents would ask me in the summer, coming 14, 15, 16, come over to me, you have to be in by 9 o'clock. And I'm like, doing the Kevin and Perry, shoulders down, everything's absolutely dreadful. But they would tease me and be like, oh, have you seen the time? You better run, because you're going to miss your curfew. Those things stick badly when you're a teen, because you're already being, at first it was like, But then afterwards I started questioning, well, when your mum lets you out to 10 o'clock, why don't you ever come closer to my house? Because I always have to come to you. So the pattern forming that I can see now of the overgiving, the overcaring, the overzealous, the continuing, if you're all okay, I'll be okay, which is something which will take me a lifetime to move on from, is the hardest part to look back to, because it was the formation of my relationships, be it with a friend, be it with teachers, in social groups and so on. I was reliant on them to accept me. So when they thought they were taking the mickey, but to me it was, well, I've got to keep on coming down here. And then it was pushing that extra effort. I have to stay another 2 minutes. And I remember it so vividly. And then thinking, God, I literally belted up this good job. I was a bloody good runner and sports person, at the time.
But these just weren't your friends, were they? Really? They're not your people. Are there any of them in your life now? Just not your people, mate. They don't get you. It's hard, you see, because it's like not many people get you, do they? Even to this day, people don't get you.
No, not at all.
And are you all right with that? And not all right with that?
I am. For me personally, I am. As a mum, no.
Right.
Because my shutdown and my... Funny, because I've actually been listening to a podcast on the way up that was saying, what is the difference between a wall that you build and a boundary? And it's the intent. So if you intend to keep somebody out, that's not a boundary.
Yeah, barriers and boundaries. I put a lot of barriers up in my time when there should be boundaries.
And although they protect, they can repel.
Mm.
And repel, the right people. So when I look back, I don't have any malice, jealousy, anger, envy, any of the negatives. I think now I've moved forward to say, well, thank you for those experiences and allowing me to have these memories that form my opinions now, because that little 14-year-old girl, the 12-year-old girl, the 7-year-old, the 5-year-old that was told, God, it's always you. I've been able to have, maybe in the latter couple of years, such deep discussions with my mother saying, this is what I remember, and then go, no, sort of, but not. And the empowering thing in that is we have a memory that comes a call that is not true.
The stories that you tell yourself.
But then as an adult, I'm just answering those stories for that little 5, 7, 9, 10, 14-year-old girl, 20-year-old girl, 32-year-old woman that's in here, that is constantly looking for the negatives, constantly on high alert and activated for who's coming at me, who's going to mock me, who's going to make things awful. And yet the one thing that did do, I buggered off abroad for months, I think when I was between 18 and 19. Literally, I was working shifts in a hospital as a nursing assistant while I was waiting to go into the Navy. And I saw this ad for holiday rep, and it said, come here for an interview. I went home and it was that day in Birmingham. I went home at 7:30 and said, hey, we've got this. Parents got in the car, drove me down. Everybody else was going, oh my God, you're not doing that. They were just like, go forth with your lings, little one, and just work it out. And
they sound amazing, your mum and dad.
Honestly, they are absolutely, and God, I vilified them so much, so many times, so many opportunities
You're just a young fucking teenage girl, you're so wild, you and your thing. It's like, obviously they're putting constraints in caging the bird. Obviously you're going to feel like that. You'll be all right with that.
And do you know what they are? And the funny thing is, up until the last.
Do you feel guilty from thinking about bad things about them when back then?
100%.
Do you? Is that what really gets to you more than anything? That you feel guilty about thinking like that about them?
Yeah, but it's when you say the word feel, it comes up. It's there. And I'm like, I think about them and it's, oof, I could have, should have. But I say to my boys now, should is not a word in our vocabulary because it's an obligation. You get a choice. You get a choice to feel about the way you do about the past and recollect the events. And you get a choice the way you show up now, and you get a choice for what you do in the future. So you don't should anything. You may. You might want. You might wish, hope, dream. But should is absolutely, it's barred. It's like the dirtiest word of that ingrained. I should have been better for them. I should have shown up more, like when I went to work and half-arse it for a day, or I should have given 10 minutes extra at the bedtime story. There are so many elements you can bring in, but again, if I'm doing that, I'm just scanning for the negative. And the one thing that with the work that I do now, beyond the initial certification, the next certification that I worked towards was what's called positive psychology. And this is the one where people say, woo-woo, but it's not. It's only been around 25, 28 years. But grounded in that is saying, this person here now recognizes they had an event that's left something within them that is not right. But when we go back and find that inner child that recognizes the catalyst almost for what happened, that really fuels that feeling now, then we look to that future self that is beyond, and we pull all three together because we want a great future. And to do that, we have to be present. And nobody who's having a traumatic time is present, because all they can, their future, they're looking, this has happened, I'm here now, it's just going to be the same. Nothing's going to change. So even when people aren't in a place of safety, we've said with people who are in domestic abuse, when I used to hear the word, safe, can you talk, are you safe? Yes. My ex-husband never laid a finger on me. Was I safe? No. I wasn't safe because of all of the choices that brought me to being with him and staying with him. And I haven't been safe since I left because I wasn't able to be present with what I now know of all of the things that I brought, the guilt, the shame and everything else from being the negative aspects, those parts of me that live within. And they've now got names and they come everywhere because I'm all into internal family systems. Oh my gosh, that is just something else. It's other people call it, from they can say that it's shadow work or it's your inner child work. Yeah. And when I'm finding those, when my therapist said, I've got two very heavy hands here, and on one side is anger. You've never once told me you're angry about what's happened to you. You brush it off. But you also don't have compassion for these two things for yourself. You can be angry somebody's done that to your child. You can be angry somebody's done this at work. You can be angry at the world. You have compassion when somebody wants to come and see you. You have compassion for me if you're late to a session, whatever else. But compassion for yourself was just non-existent. Well, then we started talking about self-love. And the resistance was my walls went up. Because instantly I'm like, I'm not going to kiss the mirror. I'm not going to, say a gazillion affirmations.
Kiss the mirror.
Well, that kind of self-love, when you kind of really project it. And I like to go big with it. And I think sometimes when I think of people with self-love, it's come from the social media aspect of, I show up daily and I'm able to do this and I talk and I am worthy and I'm going to. And I did an exercise a few weeks ago and she said, what would you say to that? I was like, fuck off. Fuck right off. I don't believe in affirmations. I believe in what I know. Mm-hmm. And if you were to say to me now, Elle, go home, do this for 21 days, because that's how long a habit forms to take. And you just tell yourself, I'm enough, I'm worthy, I can do this. And I don't believe it. And I look myself in the mirror and do the mirror work with it. I'm looking back at myself and just saying, we're done. I am reaffirming all of the fact that I'm not doing it and I don't believe it and I'm ingraining it deeper. But when I know something, I am now immovable. But I used to believe things would get better. I used to believe I could make better choices. I used to believe I should do more for others. Now that's stripping away layer by layer. Fancy the embarrassment of getting to sort of 43 years old before you could even get there. But better late than never, right?
But that's all right as well, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, we talk about central nervous system shit here, aren't we? Where it's just like, I can tell you in my head my mum was an alcoholic, and I know the reasons why and what's it, but little Tim in his body was never feel safe and he's just getting triggered all fucking time. So any time I feel that, I'm just getting, like, I need to get rid of that. It's my job as a human being to work on that. Moments where I've frozen myself and my central nervous system just getting shot and I'm getting tired because my adrenals and my cortisol, I'm just like, shit, it's a fucking never-ending circle, this.
The misconception with it, though, and something that I've seen recently, because central nervous system, somatics, even internal family systems and so on, is becoming such a buzzword, and you've quite literally hit it on the head there, that we recognise the cortisol and so on, but then some of the advice out here just kills me, because they say, you need to get back to green. You need to be in your ventral vagal. Well, yes, we do, because that's lovely. That's when we're calm, rest, digest, everything's fine. You know, we know where we are. We're safe, we're grounded, we're present. But if you're going to go and do one of those sessions with the big boy weights that I've seen you doing recently and get it up, then we need to get into a bit of the sympathetic. We need that fight or flight to kind of give us the good.
Oh, yeah.
But then if something comes in and 10 clients are going to go, we don't want to work with you anymore, we're done. And you just go, and you shut down. We're going to the door. So, well, where are we? We're kind of like here, completely disconnected. We're there, we're functioning. There's nothing kind of left. Well, how do we work between the two? Because, gotta be honest, I spent well over a decade in complete dorsal vagal. I was absolutely disassociated. There wasn't even fight or flight. I didn't even get into sympathetic. It was
really
just me showing up. Hey, your child's done this. Okay, let's have a word. I'm so sorry about that. And then
just completely disassociated, detached from everything.
Absolutely, from everything.
But
so
not in
on
a
the
good way,
outside,
like,
no, because to the outside, I think I've spent even before I had. I mean, my eldest is now 18. My younger one's 16 next week. So sweet 16 coming our way. But even before then, the level of disassociation that I have lived life in, and events and what I've done to escape or to move or to change the environment thinking it would change something else. And a lady that I knew that was so very dear to me for years, and I really regret losing contact with her. Marta was absolutely wonderful, and during the point in my marriage, she was the only person that ever had the balls to me to say, because we moved around a lot, Dol, move where you want. Problem's always going to move with you. Didn't need any more than that. It didn't need this is where you are. Your children haven't. There was no blame. That gentle kind of, I'm aware, bringing it to your awareness. You do you. And that literally ruminated around, for years. And I think then in the end, when things did separate, there was no one singular thing for me to leave the marriage, move the children, get out. And at that time, the word try to start again. Because I had my first child, and his father died when he was 13 months old. I had my second child. His father's still around somewhere, but we don't have anything to do with him. Nor would we ever want to. And then I met my husband. So when we say should, the first one should have done better by him to not have a child with somebody who was not right for me, not a safe individual, certainly not a safe individual for my other son, or us as a family generally. But then to meet my husband and go through what we understand of narcissists and how they find and how much trauma they've had themselves, the coping mechanisms and behaviours that were ingrained in me when I was younger. So, for instance, being in the military was so important. And I still say now, it was the happiest time of my life. Oh my God, did I love it? It meant everything to me. It was my identity. It was my wage, it was my family. If I didn't like somebody, who cares? Because either they or you are going to move. You get a different draft and off you go. And I had, it was a privileged life, but it was also tumultuous in the person that I became with. I loved the transient, if it was ever, we used to call it ping. So it's like one of the seniors would come in and we've got a job. Who wants to, or is anybody not going anywhere this weekend? You'd sit on your hands so you wouldn't, and I'd be like, ping. me, choose me, choose me. I just wanted that, choose me, I want to be that person for you. But then as it came along and I thought, well, you're married. So if I get a short draft, it's less effect on me when I'm not married, don't have children, than what it is for you. So then came the overgiver. And this little harbouring, nurturing version of me that's been bubbling away, entire childhood, adolescence and everything else. If I was to recognise in my central nervous system where I was then, I would pretty much say, for the most point, I was calm, I was happy, things were fine, Friends and so on were going out to conflict, and that was hard. Most of my pregnancy, my son's father was away, my first son. So there were implications to understanding what was going on for everybody else, and you're just kind of sat harbouring. But for the most part, it was happy and it was settled, because you do what you're asked when you're told. You ask questions later. I didn't ask questions later, because I was just like, tell me what to do, and I will be there for you. So when I got my big brown envelope of redundancy, not long after I'd had my second child, the crash was immense, because I had 2 babies, no job, didn't know what to do. And then you realise just how institutionalised you are when you have your safe people and your acquaintances. So from my military days now, son's godfather, still in service, still in Royal Marines, absolute legend of a guy. I mean, he is honestly just, he's been there, done it quite literally over the years, and he still wants to serve, for the benefit of himself and for what he gets in the role. And he went one and above, because, we were combat medics, basically. So even though I was in the Navy, if I went on a ship, it was for very short periods with the Marines. So I didn't really serve as a bluey at sea, or a skimmer, as they were known. But that part of my identity still resonates, because what he gave, because the bond that we had and have, I could not speak to him for 18 months, and then I'm going to talk to him again, pick up the phone, and it's like it was yesterday. He's the person who I would trust the most, without judgment, without penalty at all, but with the utmost level of respect. And I keep thinking, well, I can do that for one. So where's my next one coming from? And people are beginning to filter in over time, and it's beginning to grow. But it's only since I've been doing this work. So when I've met my friend who is a lawyer, and we said, how would we support people coming through? What does it look like from your business point of view? What does it look like? Well, you're giving somebody the opportunity to be able to go through the divorce. He can recommend me. And if it's something that they need, it's something for them at the very start of their journey, at a very raw time. And especially if you've got children, it's even more so, because you do the work for yourself and it filters out. I didn't get that at all. I literally had no resonance with, for my children, if I gave to them and I made them happy, or I kept them safe, kept them from the arguments and everything. And like I say, my ex-husband did not ever lay a hand on me. He didn't need to. Because being told you've got 2 children by 2 fathers, who would want you? Those little things creeping over time. You can't do that. You're shit. This doesn't work. You're nuts. Why are you doing that? Led to every part of me,
every cell,
that would seek that I'm not enough. So, but which bit of me isn't it? Oh, well, I'm not pleasing you, so do I try and please you more, or do I stand up to you? And if I'd sort of stood up to him, it was like, I mean, he was his own person with it, with his own issues. But I mean, of an evening OCD clean. I mean, can you imagine moving into a home, renovating a kitchen, having a beautiful, 5-ring gas hob? I wasn't allowed to use it because he didn't want to clean it every night.
Nice.
Sounds little, doesn't it? But every single
No,
day.
I get it.
And then the next thing of the boys didn't have supper. They would come home from school, upstairs, wash your hands, out the way. We were all just disbanded. And what I found the last 11 months doing this work, from my own point of view, is with my children, the fears and the responses that I still have to them are because I don't feel like I've protected them enough, although there was no more protection I could give them. And that was, there was one deceased, one who's like Voldemort, whose name is never spoken, unless my younger son wants to, express his own experiences. And then the last one that I thought, I have to stay with them, the boys need a dad. I need to stay with them, the boys need a dad. These voices have come over the years, but the strongest one is that as an adult, that I just thought, we're done. This is it. This is what we stick with. And to some degree, I don't believe he ever fully or ever will recognise, because he's so blissfully unaware of what real connection is. My mother said, you married your third child. She wasn't wrong. But he alienated me from everybody else. So the friends I had, the few friends, disappeared. Family coming down, couldn't stand him, so they left. Children, my elder one, he put so high on a pedestal, because it was almost having like the angel and the devil. So my elder one, blue sky, white fluffy clouds. Stick him on the back of the motorbike, take him over to Wales, I've done my thing. Oh, well, the other one wouldn't do it anyway. Have you asked him? He wouldn't do it anyway. But he wouldn't do it because there was no bond. But my goodness, when we went on holiday, I remember a lady we met years ago, and that was absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. We used to call him Captain Fun, because obviously in the house he was an absolute arse. He was hell to live with. I would never again.
But charming outside with other people. Yeah.
So when we were abroad, he would buy the biggest floats for the pool. He would be the one jumping in with everybody other. But she didn't live that far away from us when we were in Hampshire, and she came down to visit. So she saw the real individual. And I think at that point, the little child in me was like, it's not my fault. She can see this. Somebody's actually picking up for me.
Yeah, you got validation.
Absolutely.
It wasn't, you weren't going mad. Yeah.
And although there's a lot in there, grief has been always present. Grief speaks to me louder than anything else. Losing somebody you've loved, trying to have a relationship, just wanting somebody to want you for you, not because there's something on the back of it. And grief is just love with nowhere to go, especially when somebody's passed. Yeah. And the work embodying now is so pivotal in terms of when you sit with somebody and they come in and they're activated and you can see their shoulders, like their earrings, and you eventually just sit. I always start my sessions with the most simple thing, which is hand on heart, close your eyes, take a breath. What's your intention for this session? Do you want to scream from the rafters? Do you want peace? Do you not know? All the way we're going with it. Because it's your time in your space. And if you sit and break down, and that's all you can manage, then as long as you're safe and we keep bringing you back, so there isn't something so traumatic at the end, then I can be there and hold space for you. Working with somebody that I know at the moment who lost his mum a while ago, and they're overseas. He said, I keep having these visions and I feel disconnected because the family are struggling and the family aren't able to, because I'm here. So it's very disjointed in the way his experience, is shared. So I gave him a box of chocolates and just said, go home, feet up, cross-legged, chug a chocolate, close your eyes, think about mum. And then when you do, just send me the next thought. Tell me something about her that was so special to you that came through. And what he shared was absolutely amazing, because culturally it was something so different to what I was brought up in.
So what did
being
he say?
Catholic.
Can you share it?
No, because it was in session.
Yeah, it's fine.
The beauty was, effectively, his mum was recognised by so many communities for the very essence that she was. Not because of, not in spite of, so not what she did for people, not what she didn't do, but just, her thing. And I said, do you know how much you're like her? He was like, I know I've got, and I was like, no. And think of it this way, when you have your head that you love and respect, when a matriarch or a patriarch is removed from the family and there's grief, regardless of how they've passed, whether it's been sudden or whether you've had time to prepare, little parts of them come down into each individual, and you see family dynamics. I mean, I used to work for Marie Curie, and they would share stories of the person in the bed, and you would listen and think, oh, so you've got that from your mum, you're doing that. And you would see siblings and other family members, that were included, that the essence came within and they assumed that role. And I think from the parts work and being positive, and in terms of self-agency and self-leadership, we've gone beyond limiting beliefs now, and it's kind of, where's your sovereignty? But I do love that, I think, because the sovereignty can be as hard or as soft, as you want. You're a classic example of that. The people that come to you know, like, trust you, not from the sales point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to you, you can pick things apart, you will say things gently, or you'll, give it both barrels, but you know your craft, and that's what they're there for, so you will hold that for them. So imagine if we can take this work, because I don't know if you ever have this still, especially if you've had a mum who's had alcohol, because that's what I tend to, that was my weapon of choice. My God. It's vile. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely vile. So when I hear, but that part of you has your only positive, it's only got positive intentions. So this little, what we call the exile, that's been shunned or shamed, if this comes in to manage those, symptoms, then never the twain meet. How does recognizing that this actually only has a positive intention, because it's numbing, it's disassociation, and I know disassociation more than anything else. So how many times have we had a boss, because I can think of one right now, she comes to mind every single time, when I worked in a private hospital a few years ago, and my goodness, the word tyrant is wasted on her. She was beyond. And just a look would make me think, why? I show up, I'm trying, and I was in the midst of that point of quite literally having a full shutdown, to which I was taken to the Priory as an inpatient. I can't even say that was the darkest time of my life. That was the cumulative effect of showing up for my children and the experiences, and having two children with such high additional needs. So my eldest got through mainstream, the youngest didn't. Can I say they were supported? Hell to the no. They weren't supported until we're in the local authority that we're in now, where we've been the last 2 years, and my goodness, they are off the scale amazing what they do for them. But beforehand, I was a free TA multiple times, multiple years for them, if I could even get, especially my younger one, into school alone, because he is severely traumatized in the terms of from his biological side and what was imparted. So imagine your child coming down in a little crimply candlestick snotty heap and saying, "I'm so very sorry," months after I came out of the Priory. And I said, "Why?"
You said it was your fault. Who's his fault?
My ex-husband had said, "She can't cope with you, she can't cope with your diagnosis, she can't cope with the things you do," because he'd been removed from mainstream at that point and they didn't put him anywhere else. Oof. And to this day, that's how I found this work. It was, right, how do you get to the root of that while he's a child? Because there were so many things that I was a child that I didn't get to the root of until I started this work. What am I doing to pull you out now? But it gives me a different lens to look through when I see the old tyrant boss, and I think, my goodness.
Yeah, even your husband as well. Behind that,
yeah, I mean, his family
kid,
were off, you know, were off the scale in terms of, you know, he used to say that he had a milk round at 10 to buy their own food, and his. And he, you know, he had that job to go and do some other things, such as, you know, like buy a coat and so on. And then there was family, but nobody, you know, took care of them. And the human part of me thinks nobody should have to go through that. But then the other part says you as an adult are aware enough that you did not need to do what you did to me. And then we circle back to me saying, well, all I could do was please the children. I'll still please the children all day now, but not from the codependency point of things. It's not from the burnout of I just need to give you. It's how do I help you now to help yourself in the future? What do you need?
Yeah, just from love. Yeah.
But the genuine, deep-rooted, no fear, but full accountability. Because, like I say, leaving my ex-husband wasn't the end, and having to recognise that there were so many times that I have made myself unsafe to the point hearing the word safe was like, oh God, I can't. No, it makes me feel really ick. Like self-love. They're the two things.
So really?
Safety for me, when we say, you know, if you go home safe, because how do you know home is safe? For some people, that is the worst place. For some people, going to work is the most unsafe place they could be, with bullying or the targeted behaviour or the self-imposed exile of I show up but I'm not good enough, and what behaviours and what parts come out for them afterwards. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, goodness, I used to chop my arms to within, you know, of an inch of their life. Or, like I say, you know, I would take a drink, but hearing those words from my son and taking just that particular chunk of time of, there was a roof over our head, bills were paid, there was food that I made on the table, but was it safe? No. And safety is still miles ahead of the curve, because there is a lot of unpicking to do now. And obviously you look at things like, you know, you can help your children in the same way, but obviously they've got a barrier because I'm mum. And I love it because my younger one especially says to me, he's going, Jesus, are you giving me the psycho again? I was like, yep, psycho mum's here. We just, you know, we call it that. But the healing has definitely started, and they're also with the expectation now that from this day forth, it's for the rest of your life. Everything that you pick, and if somebody looks at you a certain way and it brings a feeling, and especially with my elder one, when we look at like sensory acuity, that if there's, contempt and the little lip goes up or something's flushed, pupils dilate. He's a lot slower to react with that, so you kind of have to tread carefully with him. But he comes out with the most random things with it, like memories that come up, and he'll say, but it's completely deflective, and I'm like, whoa, you've said it, where is it? Show me where it is.
Yeah, I love stuff like that, mate. It's really good.
But now we've gone to the dark humour side, because the one reason
That's even better.
that we've found that helps. So we've got a little board and we've got a little pointy stick, and I go, so where on this person does this feeling hurt you? Now to everybody else, they might be absolutely horrified with that and go, oh my God. For us it works, because it's that deep boy humour.
Yeah, man.
It brings it up. There's a bit of deflection, but they're also learning that humour is a disassociation.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point when we kind of start poking, they go, ugh. I'm like, okay, now you're ready. So we bring it up with the humour, and that's for them. Other people, you have to bring it up, sort of sensitively. I like people to bring it up with me in a very to the point way. It's like, bring me into awareness, and I'll kind of go, I don't know how to say, and, revert back through the notes. But having therapy myself, she said, you've got knowledge, so you talk to me from here. I ask you to move into here.
Yeah.
How do I work?
Yeah. There's that grateful thing, everyone kind of throws it around. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But, like, I did a video the other day about being grateful, that I can feel grateful. You know what I mean? A lot of people are up here in their head kind of say, I'm grateful. I'm just like, you don't fucking know what it means. You can't fucking feel it. It's like, feel it right in your chest, man, in your body. That grateful.
On
That
top
is
of that,
hard.
though, when I think, was it Sunday, yours, when you said, if you cannot sit with yourself in silence, man, did that hit me in the feels. I was like, oh. You're looking into my eyes through Instagram and you're calling me out. And
Tough, innit? Yeah. It just all comes back to that word. It's awful again because it's been used on social media, but self-love, just loving yourself. I have bouts of bliss come over me when I'm driving, when I'm it.
Is that Sandra's influence though?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
She's a legend.
Yeah,
an
absolute legend. Yeah.
That was one hell of an experience. I'm so glad that obviously you introduced me to that, and I got to go and experience that with her. Medicine is something which for me, I did actually, I spoke to somebody who was in the recovery program with me, and you could see them physically bracing. They were going, if you're trying to avoid alcohol and you're kind of going for medicine, I was like, are these yours? Would you like some change?
Yeah, that's the shit. I like that. I'm going to use that. I've never done that before. Would you like some change? That's fucking even better.
Stick with me, get up to
Yeah, I like it. You've got that nice wild side to you, haven't you? That crazy wild side. And it's like, I feel like it's been caged for a lot of time there, where you've chosen safety over being wild. Were you scared of your chaotic side at one point? Of that wild side of you?
100%, in all honesty, because I think I blamed that part that chose the chaos. But when chaos is all you've ever known, peace is the most uncomfortable. So hence, sitting quietly with yourself, I'm like, no, just make it tangible, make it a bit spiky, just give me, put some pins in here and there, because it's everywhere now. Like with leadership, we talk about toxic masculinity, we talk about, what's left of people at the moment, and we've said over the last few days, go for what she wants, needs and wishes. Go for a goal that's so big, it scares you. And I thought, I'm not ready for that. But this little thing keeps on coming, and it's like, client niche. Know me with niche, don't like niche. It's one of those words. I know if you work with everybody, you work with nobody. But at the same point, I am I'm ready to go back to the Veterans Agency and go, hey, you don't get many that have experienced this while they're in service and this afterwards. Where do you need me to go?
Sweet.
Because at the moment,
Perfect.
it is the mental health month for men, the awareness. And I'm thinking, wonderful, but why don't we focus on mental well-being? That's the positive psychology we spoke about at the beginning.
So is that what you're going to be doing? Is that your next
I
thing?
am going to find somebody to reach out to my
When are you going to do it?
veterans when I get home. Because there's no point on the train.
Yeah, stop fucking about. Let's do that.
Yeah.
That's sick, that.
Because they are, at the moment, it's coming up, and after, let's say, speaking to, the Godfather, and I know a few other people that have, been divorced and having issues within. Men don't get the same. And I always thought I'd go with women. I wanted that kind of sisterhood because of that discourse with having friends.
Stop
But
niching
actually,
down,
I
Elle.
don't-
Stop niching down. It's
I
bullshit.
don't need
Do
it.
whatever
I
you
don't
want,
need
but the people will come. You just need to put yourself out there. The frequency, then the same frequency. It's neither gender or anything. The frequency will just come. It's just people, it's human beings.
Absolutely.
The
And
right
it doesn't
people will
matter
find
what,
you.
it doesn't matter what gender
Niche is
that you
boring.
are.
Don't niche down. If you listen to this, do not fucking niche down. Boring.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Because it's been an absolute pain in the ass for I don't know how long. But, beyond that, that's why I think we've got leaders. You go in, you see that boss who looks at you. Okay, how about I come into your business, I look at your standard operating procedures, let's get your SOPs out, find out where your bottlenecks are in the business. You've got a busybody. We've got a course of that. We've got a workshop. Give them a role. Mental health, first aid, practitioner, like the facilitation of being able to look at somebody that may on the surface present like they're okay. We're going into schools. Teachers are now social workers, dinner ladies, parents, surrogates, potty trainers, you name it, caregiver rather than educators. How are we looking after them? We've got workshops for that. Let's pull them in and say, sit there, you tell me where you're going. How does that make you feel when you're sat at home? Not just the fact that you're still marking books at 10 o'clock at night, or the business owner that's still sat there trying to pore over the books because he wants to pay staff for the next few months. Those are the economics of the business you're in. But when you're sat there doing that, what the hell are you feeling? Is this the child that didn't meet the grade, so he's the over-perfectionist now and works that extra few hours for really no reward, because by the time he goes in the following day he doesn't? Or are you the arse that sits there yelling at everybody else because you've got absolutely no idea that little part of you that was yelled at now wants to yell back because that's all you know is the chaos? So if you bring it to people, you feel better, you feel powerful. Well, how about we, work with you and your workforce to, where's your bottleneck? What do you get out of people? Why aren't we trauma informed? Where we work, why we work, and how we work. People coming in, there was a guy years ago, I remember seeing it, who blew up his business overnight in the terms where he said, no, we're not going to work, 8 till 6 like they do over in the States. We're going to pull it back, and if people want to come in between 8 and 10, that's fine. They get 15 minutes to kind of come in and sit and do, but also they get extra holidays. They can leave at 1 if they want. Productivity went absolutely through the roof. Fair enough, it might be a different economic time now, but how good do those people feel, and how much of that ethos have they taken out? It's the same as you smile at somebody and it resonates and it takes it back. Even if they look miserably at you, you've just given them that little oxygen. It's going in there and they cannot take it down. So just reducing that cortisol, because if you look at the news at the moment, and possibly most people when they go into the office, it is a harrowing state of affairs, and we're all feeling it. So walking next to somebody who's got that in their body, plus all of the other stuff that's come from years ago, I've been absolutely fascinated by just how many people and how they present. And when you get on a one-on-one with somebody and the layers start to drop, and the little vulnerability shines through, all you need is that little crack to find out. But if leaders, visionaries between people who hold parent workshops, corporates, and especially schools, if you can start bringing this in, because I know from what I've seen of the education system we're trying to support my son, it's going to hell in a you know, in a very well wrapped up basket. And I've really struggled with those parts, especially of me, that thought it's okay doing something for yourself when you're at work. You turn up, you sit there, and it's yes, boss, keep going away, doing whatever. But when you're supporting children with additional needs, or when you're meeting other parents of children with additional needs, do you know one thing I found odd, and it blew my mind because I worked in a special school for a while as well, just because I had the holidays, and I felt more at home there than anywhere else. It was amazing. And some of the staff that were in there, and hearing them sort of recount, their stories and how we were doing, and come to break time, we'd go and stand, and I'd watch, and he'd listen to the children. I'd think, they are so mean to each other. They go next level because they know the vulnerability of the other, and they just go for the jugular. That one thing that's going to trigger that child and literally make them go kaboom, trying to regulate, a child down. Oh my goodness, trying to regulate yourself, let alone, co-regulation with a child is a huge thing. But I've always admired, I think, the honesty that they come at it with. If my son wants to go for the jugular with me, he doesn't ever, hold back. Whereas my elder one, on paper, they've pretty much got the same diagnoses. So then I go out into workplace and think, if you've got people with these same diagnoses, or even not, I struggle with the word label. And that's going to be divisive, I know, because they say, oh, you've labelled your child. Nope. I was labelled naughty. I was labelled overactive. I was labelled, both of my children have been labelled overactive, or couldn't sit still, disruptive, high impact, high whatever. What the hell did they care? Because I was the one sat with them. It was come off it. And up until sort of recently, and looking at where we can go with this trauma-informed, and how many people are beginning to switch onto it, not just from from the journaling and so on, because my eldest one applied for the military and was turned down. Not a come back in 2 years, just a flat no. Now the army do allow some people with diagnoses in, but he's also got hearing problems, had quite a nasty break in his leg and so on, so he didn't. But seeing that level of crushed, because he was like, yeah, but you were in. Because he had that level of expectation. And I think that's what comes from trauma. You have an event, car accident, traumatic marriage, bullying. The list goes on and on. So, and it lives within you. How on earth do we come back and say, here's your grounding, I'll support you. What's your business need? What do you need? Boss might be fed up with people coming in late, or sickness, or whatever else. Well, how much are you paying on recruitment to have people off sick? How much are the forces losing with people who are unable to work or need to be discharged because they've not been supported? How about we support them beforehand? I'm sure it was over in, was it Scandinavia, somewhere like that. They gave them workshops of what to expect in conflict and how to manage their new roles and expectations of them being in uniform, providing public service. And the difference of those that were informed beforehand to those that weren't, the levels of PTSD we're off the scale.
So this is what you're going to be doing? This is what excites you? About going into the workplace, going into the military with your thing?
More so now, because I think lived experience has been underestimated in terms of that was still the happiest time of my life. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids, I love being with them. But me and my identity that I had, you know, being in the military. So imagine being able to sit there and have somebody say, very honestly, this happened and it's awful. Fine. Or, I can't get this out of my head and I can't sleep and it's impacting everything. Well, okay, so how about we work with you? How about we understand you and your needs? And then the ripple effect is if you're married, your wife gets to benefit, your children feel safer, because the divorces, the suicides, the levels of impact that I've noticed throughout came from the grief of being in the military and losing the life that I loved, and then ending up in a situation that meant I was making do and just spreading myself so thinly. You know, we got to addictions and nothing left. So how about instead of somebody else having to go through that, we reach into them and say, fine, because I don't work with the diagnosis of PTSD. What I do work with are the after effects and the life that that individual is leading and living because of what they've seen in conflict, or because of losing a friend, or even beforehand, because children that have had, I don't think we haven't touched on this, but adverse childhood events, so your ACE score. A lot of people that go into the military who have had discourse, shall we say, in their childhood and traumatic events, they're the ones that are highly likely to come out with PTSD and suffer a much greater event. So how about we understand that maybe before we go in, while they're in, afterwards? At what point is giving them the highest pay point? And especially if they're coming out.
Yeah.
Where are we picking them up from? And how are they going to go and get a new role, a new job, something that they are proud of and can integrate to in a way that they can feel safe, but also not having a boss that's going, oh, he's having a bad day. No, you're having a bad day. Because if you can't give somebody the compassion and allowance to rebuild and the time for them to show up safely, because that's all that's happening. There's a big part of them that is reliving an event that isn't safe.
Yeah.
And that's the same for anybody who's been through, you know, domestic abuse, or like telling somebody who's had another car total, excuse me, through the side of them, well, get in and drive. I had a massive car accident actually when I was while I was in the military, and I was on my way from HMS straight to Yeovil, and a guy literally took me out, took my car off the road, and the following morning the chief came and got like the duty car, because it was an airfield there, and went, it's massive, you're fine, do it, just drive, because if you don't, you're going to lose that. So somebody, that's why I say I recognise that if somebody takes the ball by the horns with me, it's not suitable for everybody else, but if you tell me, I can work with that. But the forerunners are, and the people that have experienced domestic abuse and military service, or even your public, so you know, your police officers, your paramedics, your frontliners, so to speak. The mentality is do what you're asked when you're told, ask questions later, and you do it because you're showing up for somebody else, regardless. Your role is to serve.
Yeah.
So we need to take it back and say, but at this point we're serving you because we want you to live a happy and safe and full existence. You're going to have to coexist with this part, but what other parts are we going to bring in that give you that, you know, safety in the moment? Because of course this time of year especially, fireworks going off all the time. You know, there are across the country, I can't imagine how many people are just unable to sit comfortably of an evening if they've been to work or if they're in recovery or for whatever else.
Yeah.
Just for fireworks going off, but it's not just that for somebody else. It is taking them back. It is pulling them in so hard, and their gut, their heart, their throat. There are parts of them that it's so physical, it's so visceral. I think that's what I've recognised recently.
How does somebody get in touch with you, Elle, to actually want to do one-to-one coaching? Where do they reach out to? Website, Instagram? Tell people where they can to reach out to you.
So on Instagram, I'm Elle.m.jones.
Yes.
And my website is lmjones at thementalwellbeingcompany.com.
That's the whole website address.
Big one. So yes,
Right,
I do
we'll
have my
talk
own.
about this afterwards.
I actually did set up my own, because obviously that's huge. So for in terms of like organisational support, so things like the mental health first aid, all of those things, workshops, schools, corporates, because it's CPD accredited, so it's ICF timed.
We appreciate you, mate, coming on. And I recommend people follow you on Instagram when you do your posts.
You're going to hold me accountable for that now as well, aren't you?
We're going to talk about it in a minute. But thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Tim Marner, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner.